Christmas, everybody!
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
We just got back from the library and we have a bunch of Christmas books to read to you. We can't wait. Come on in. Our first story is called The Christmasaurus. Okay, here we go. Santa and his reindeer live as north as you can go, in a place that's full of magic and quite a lot of snow. But Santa and his reindeer do not live there on their own, for there's a special dinosaur that also calls it home. He is the Christmasaurus, and he's one of a kind. No matter where you look, he'll be the only one you'll find. The Christmasaurus has a wish that someday he might fly and pull the sleigh on Christmas Eve across the winter sky. I'll train you, Santa's bellowed. I can show you how it's done. And now that I'm your teacher, let's begin with lesson 1. First, you need to gobble up this flying reindeer food. It's sure to help a dino reach a higher altitude. The Christmasaurus munched, then jumped toward the northern lights. But in a flash of blue, he crashed headfirst into the ice. Oh dear. Santa scratched his fluffy beard. Well, that's a shame, he said. I need to leave. It's Christmas Eve and children are in bed. But not to worry, Santa smiled. No need to look so blue. We'll try again next Christmas and I'll teach you lesson 2. Spring turned into summer and autumn whizzed right by. And then it was Christmas once again and time to try to fly. You need to think a happy thought, like Christmas fairies do. If happy thoughts can work for them, I'll bet they'll work for you. So Christmasaurus thought of fluffy clouds upon his scales. But happy thoughts don't always end like Christmas fairy tales. Oh dear. Ho, ho, no, that didn't work, said Santa with a sigh. But I'm afraid it's Christmas Eve, so time for me to fly. And with the sleigh packed full of toys to leave beneath the tree, he said we'll try next Christmas when it's time for lesson 3. Flowers bloomed and sunshine beamed, and leaves turned brown and fell. Then smells of Christmas filled the air to sounds of jingle bells. We'll make you wings, sang Santa. They are sure to help you fly. Just flap them like a bird, and you will soar across the sky. The Christmasaurus closed his eyes and flapped with all his might. But even Santa's gift of wings could not make him take flight. And so he roared a little cry and shed a frozen tear. He'll have to wait for lesson 4 and try again next year. Oh dear, oh dear. But as the elves were loading all the toys upon the sleigh, an idea popped into Santa's brain and wouldn't go away. Christmasaurus, why not come along with us tonight? While I deliver presents, you can feel the thrill of flight. Without a second thought, the Christmasaurus climbed aboard, and with their Dinah passenger, into the sky they soared. Flying in the sleigh was even better than he dreamt, and house by house he watched as down the chimney Santa went. Stay in the sleigh, warned Santa. Now you mustn't go exploring. Wait here while I leave presents for the children inside snoring. Christmasaurus didn't listen. Christmasaurus didn't stay. He fell into a chimney, and then Santa flew away. His ho, ho, ho got quieter the higher that they climbed, not really realizing that the Christmasaurus has been left behind. Oh, no, no, no. Inside, the house was quiet, but not everyone was sleeping, for through the twinkling Christmas lights, a little boy was peeping. He saw the most amazing sight a child could hope to see. A living, breathing dinosaur next to the Christmas tree. He watched the Christmasaurus staring sadly at the sky and understood this dinosaur was wishing it could fly. "Hello, are you lost?" he asked the prehistoric creature. "If you want to fly, then maybe I could be your teacher." You don't need magic food or wings or even happy thoughts. In fact, I'm not sure flying is a thing that can be taught. Santa's reindeer only fly if kids like me believe. So if your dreams is flying, maybe I'm the thing you need. Midnight came, and Christmas Eve turned into Christmas Day. The boy made reins from Christmas lights. His wheelchair was the sleigh. He started to believe perhaps this dinosaur could fly. And just like that, the two of them took off into the sky. They flew high over rooftops and the sleepy streets below to the place that's full of magic and quite a lot of snow. They laughed and sang for hours in the North Pole's glistening glow, but morning was approaching and the boy would need to go. Then Santa said, "The magic doesn't end on Christmas Day. For someone who believes, we're always just a wish away." They climbed aboard the sleigh, and all the reindeer took their places, and elves waved them goodbye with looks of joy upon their faces. And with a smile, the roaring Christmasaurus led the way. The boy had made his wish come true, pulling Santa's sleigh. And so the Christmasaurus and his brand new human friend shared a magic Christmas that they wished would never end. But the best thing about Christmas is, as each one fades away, you're always getting closer to another Christmas day. This story is called A Pussycat's Christmas. Here we go. It was Christmas. How could you tell? Was the snow falling? No. The little cat, Pussycat, knew that Christmas was coming. The ice tinkled when it broke on the frozen mud puddles. The cold air made her hair stand straight up in the air, and the air smelled just as it did last year. What did it smell like? Could she smell Christmas trees? Of course she could. And tangerines, and Christmas greens, and holly. And could she hear the crackle and slip of white tissue paper and red tissue paper? She certainly could. Tissue paper rustled, nuts cracked, scissors cut. Brr, there wasn't a flake of snow in the sky, but the sky was dark and low, and there was the dark smell of winter air before snow. And then click, the street lights clicked all over town, and as the heavens turned dark, beyond the window, one by one, the snowflakes began to fall out of the sky. How did little Pussycat know? Could she hear the snow? Shh, she certainly could. And she ran right out into the snowstorm. For if there was anything that this little cat loved, it was the cold, dry, fresh, white, wild, and feathery, powdery snow. She went pouncing around in it, bouncing around in joy. And she ate some of it, and she rolled in it, and dug in it, and played with it. And then she stood up, all white with snow, very still, for it was very quiet, very quiet. First there was no sound, and then there was some. And when everything is quiet, you can hear things far away. From the sky, with a sound like steady whispering, came the snow, the sound of snow. Then the wind rattled the black branches, and rattled it was time for Pussycat to go into the house. For little cats do not like the wind. They usually don't like snow, but this little cat did. All the smells of the earth that she knew were frozen and buried in the white snow. The world was very quiet and very mysterious. Even footsteps were quiet. Pussycat didn't go in right away because through the wind and the falling snow she heard something. She stood very still and stretched her ears there in the whitening darkness. And soon she heard it, coming from far away, away up the snowy road. Ding, 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 jingle, 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 ding. What was that? She heard it going by in the white falling snow. She saw it. She saw the sleigh go jingling by. Then Pussycat meowed at her window pane, and she heard footsteps coming to let her in. They always let her in right away because they didn't want her to get cold, and they liked to have her in the house. She walked right into the living room where she could smell the sharp, tangy smell of the Christmas tree and candles and nuts and raisins and apples and tangerines. But they shouldn't have let her stay in the living room where they were wrapping up packages and hanging things on the tree. Pussycat lay down and purred by the fire. She lifted her ears and she listened, and there was a sound of crackling. Shh, shh, crackle. What was that? Was it the fire? Always there was a sound of snow hissing against the window pane. There was a tinkle, tinkle, little pop, and something fell from the Christmas tree and shivered into a million splinters of light. That was wonderful. The lights gleamed in Pussycat's eyes, and then bang, bang, bang. What was that? Someone was hanging the Christmas stockings. Everyone came out and stepped over and around the little cat and put on coats and boots and mufflers and hats and laughed and shuffled about. They kissed each other under the mistletoe. Then off they went to church. Suddenly and quietly, far off in the night, Pussy could hear. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. When everyone had gone, it was dark and quiet. The snow had stopped, and there was only the smell of the Christmas tree filling the house and silence. Then softly at first, but distinct in the night, she heard people walking from window to window, the dark carolers on the white snow. Through the still air, their voices came to her listening ears over the silence of the frozen snow, in the silence of the moonlight, in the silence of the night, in the silence of the bright stars high in the sky. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. And as the little pussycat purred and purred by the fire, she heard in the distance the music fading far down the road. Then she pushed open the living room door with her paw, and there in the silent house was the Christmas tree. It sparkled and glistened with lights, gold and silver and blue, the light of rubies and emeralds, shining like no tree that any cat had ever seen in the woods. This, to Pussycat, was Christmas Eve. Isn't that lovely? There she is. I think we need another story. Yes, we do. This book is called The Christmas Promise. Rachel Rabbit woke Ted D. Bear and pulled him to the frosty window. She was keeping the promise she had made to him last fall when Ted had said, "Please wake me for Christmas, Rachel. I've never seen it. Hibernating, you know." "Christmas is beautiful," Ted sighed as the two friends looked out at the fresh snow. Then Ted yawned. "I guess it's back to bed for me," he said. "You can't go back to bed, Ted," exclaimed Rachel. "It's Christmas. Our friends are waiting for us." Ted yawned. "Why?" "You'll see. Just come along. But first, put these on. It's cold outside." "Oh, they're very nice," said Ted, taking two knitted things from Rachel. "What are they?" "It's a scarf and a cap. You can wear them to keep warm. They're my Christmas gifts to you," Rachel said. "Gifts for Christmas? That's a nice surprise," said Ted. "Thank you." Suddenly, Ted did not feel quite so sleepy. "Merry Christmas," Nicky Chipmunk called. "We've been waiting for you." "Where are we going?" shouted Ted. "To Moose's meadow," said Eliza Ermine. "Climb aboard." "Hang on tight," shouted Nicky as the sled started down, 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 faster and faster. They swooshed past pine trees and bumped over snow humps. "Sliding down a hill certainly shakes me awake," Ted screamed all the way down to the bottom. They slid to a stop at Moose T. Moose's feet. Ted saw his friends rolling snow into a large ball. "Come help," they called to Ted. Ted's friends all agreed it was nice to have a strong bear's help when stacking up snowballs. "You finish the snowman, Ted," said Moose. "Snowman," Ted said. Then he had an idea. He worked quickly, and when he finished, everyone laughed. "I thought a snow moose would be nice," Ted said. "You're very clever, Ted," said Moose. "I'm glad you're with us to celebrate Christmas. Will you help us give our gifts?" "I'd love to," said Ted. "Hooray!" everyone shouted. Ted helped his friends deliver Christmas stockings to the birds. But before hanging the first one on Mr. Feather's branch, Ted discovered something terribly wrong. "Moose," he whispered, "he'll never be able to wear the sock. It's full of birdseed." Moose replied, "Ted, it's a Christmas stocking. The birdseed is for Mr. Feather's Christmas present." "Oh," said Ted, "I didn't think a bird would wear just one sock." After all the gifts were delivered, Ted helped his friends string Christmas lights. Ted wasn't very good at stringing lights, but he tried hard, and Moose was a good sport about it. Ted's friends helped him arrange the red berry garland on the Christmas tree. "Start at the top and work your way down," Mr. Feather directed. "You need more on the right," said Jenny Goose. "No, the left," said Ralph Raccoon. "Oh, please, just hurry, Ted," squealed Fussy Squirrel. "Please read us a story, Ted," said Nicky. Ted opened the book Nicky handed him, and his friends gathered around to listen to him read a Christmas story. Oh, how lovely. When he finished reading, Ted told everyone to follow him outside. "Merry Christmas," he shouted. Then he passed out presents to everyone. Crunchy acorns, juicy berries, sweet honey, and other tasty treats. Ted gave a special gift to Rachel and said, "Thank you for keeping your promise, Rachel. I've had a wonderful Christmas." "You're welcome," Rachel said, "but Christmas isn't over yet. Follow me." Rachel and her friends brought Ted to the mailbox. Ted's mailbox never, ever had anything in it for Christmas, but today it was stuffed with packages and cards from all the forest animals. Ted and his friends had fun all day long. When darkness fell, they admired the bright stars in the sky above them. "I'll remember this Christmas always," sighed Ted. Everyone agreed they would too. Suddenly, a shooting star blazed across the sky. Before it burned out of sight, Ted said, "I wish I could spend many more Christmases with my friends." "You will," Rachel said. "We'll wake you up again next year." "Promise?" Ted asked, and all his friends answered, "We promise, Ted. Merry Christmas." This book is called Finding Christmas. Okay, here we go. Julie always found her Christmas presents. One year she found them in the basement. One year she found them in the bathroom. One year she found them in the garage. But this Christmas, Julie began to wonder if she was getting any presents from her family at all. She had looked and looked and looked and looked and found nothing. On Christmas Eve, Julie decided to give it one last try. She went down into the basement and pushed her way through spider webs. No presents. Oh dear. She went into the bathroom and pulled out all the towels. No presents. She went into her parents' bedroom and took all the clothes out of all the drawers and all the clothes out of all the closets. No presents. She moved everything out of the garage and looked underneath the car and behind the lawnmower. No presents. She called her friend who lived across the street and said, Denise, I've looked all over the house. There's nothing here. It is Christmas Eve and there are no presents." "None at all?" "No presents." Denise said, Stop. I'm looking over at your house and guess what I see on the roof?" So Julie went to bed early and there very quietly she climbed up onto the roof and she opened the top of the box and looked in. The box was full of presents. Julie pulled herself up and fell in and the top closed and she could not get out. She yelled, "Denise!" But Denise had already gone to bed. Julie yelled, "Daddy!" But her dad was busy decorating the tree. She yelled, "Mommy!" But her mom was busy wrapping one last Christmas present for her dad. She yelled, "Andrew!" But her brother was putting out a plate of cookies for Santa. Julie even yelled, "Taya!" But her sister had gone to sleep on the couch. There was no way to get out, so Julie decided to take a nap. She lay down in the middle of the presents, wrapped herself up in a blanket, and went to sleep. Very late that night, Julie's mom and dad went up onto the roof, got the box, and took it inside. "Ha!" said Julie's dad. "Julie never saw any Christmas presents this time. She doesn't know what she's getting." "Yes," said her mom, "we definitely fooled her this time." They reached in the box and brought out a bicycle. "A great present for Andrew," said Julie's dad. They reached in the box and brought out some markers. "A great present for Julie," said her mom. They reached into the box and brought out some building blocks. "A great present for Taya," said her dad. And then they reached in the box and brought out Julie, fast asleep. "Look at this," said Julie's dad. "It's a little girl. Who's getting a little girl?" "I didn't get anyone a little girl," said Julie's mom. "Well, it looks like a really nice little girl, and I want it for my Christmas present," said her dad. "It looks like a really nice little girl to me, too, and I want it for my Christmas present," said her mom. "No," said her dad. "I saw it first, and it's going to be my present." "No," said her mom. "It's a girl, and I'm a girl, and it should belong to me." Then Julie woke up. "Wait a minute," she said. "I belong to you both." "Right," said her mom and dad, and then they gave her kisses and hugs and wrapped her up and put her underneath the Christmas tree with a label that said, "To Mommy and Daddy." On Christmas morning, Andrew and Taya found Julie all wrapped up underneath the tree. So Andrew wrapped himself up and went under the tree, and Taya wrapped herself up and went underneath the tree, and then their parents finally woke up, and the kids all yelled, "Merry Christmas!" And everyone agreed that it was the best Christmas ever. Would you like to see that? They're all underneath the tree. Oh, that was very fun. I enjoyed that.
Yep.
This book is called Snowed In at Pokeweed Public School. Here we go, Marla. Every morning I rush through the house, eating breakfast, combing my wool, brushing my teeth, and then I pack my bag and I hug my parents and I blast off to the bus. It's time for another classic day at Pokeweed Public School. I always sit in the front of the bus with my best friend, Melody. That way we can get away with the animals at the back. When we get off the bus, Ms. Mudwarts is always there to meet us. She's the best teacher in the whole world, and we all think she's awesome. Good morning, Ms. Mudwarts. Ms. Mudwarts never gets upset. Whenever we become too noisy or enthusiastic, she just stops whatever she's doing, raises her hoof, and waits for us to settle down. There's always something excellent going on at Pokeweed Public School, like Halloween party, or a science fair, or a track meet, or a visit from Officer Plants for a talk about bicycle safety. But the best day we ever had at Pokeweed Public School happened last week. Ms. Mudwarts had yard duty, and we had just talked her into playing goal when all of a sudden it really started to snow. In fact, the snow was piling up so fast that Ms. Mudwarts thought the bus should be called to take us home early. But Principal Slugmeyer was very busy and could not be disturbed. By the time he finished his work, it was the end of the day, and we were all snowed in. Yes, snowed in. I know. May I have your attention, please? Due to the severe weather conditions, all students will remain at school. Go. Overnight. When Principal Slugmeyer announced that we would have to spend the night at school, everyone went totally ballistic. Some of the younger students started crying for their parents. Some of the older students started cheering and clapping, jumping around. Melody and I just wondered, what would we do? What would we eat? Where would we sleep? Then good old Ms. Mudwarts calmly took control of the whole situation. First, she sent us to the gymnasium with Principal Slugmeyer for a long game of dodgeball. I think they wanted to tire us out. Then it got dark. Billy wanted to start a fire, but Ms. Mudwarts reminded him that although we were snowed in, the lights in the furnace still worked fine. Finally, it was time for bed, and we got some mats from the gym and used our coats for blankets. Then Ms. Mudwarts had all the older students read stories to all the younger students. By the next morning, the snow had stopped falling, the plow had cleared the roads, and Principal Slugmeyer had shoveled the whole laneway. The bus took us all home, but we didn't get off. Our parents just handed us a lunch and waved goodbye. It was already time to go back and have another classic day at Pokeweed Public School. Oh, what fun! I've never been snowed in at school, but I think it would be fun if I was at Pokeweed Public School. So that's all our stories for this time, but I hope you'll come back again.
Provide feedback on this show or find out how you can get involved.